to The Winning Mentality. I'm Charlie Bosco, and yes, I am aware that we are a day late with today's episode. Apologies for that, but please blame my recent travel and work schedule. I promise it won't happen again. Now, joining me this week is former England Rugby League international Peter Fox. He started out at Leeds Rhinos, and although he never broke into the first team there, just being part of that club in the early 2000s, which was a vastly successful period in their history, when the playing and coaching staff was made up of legends, left a big impression, as you'll hear. In fact, it was at Leeds that his path first crossed with Tony Smith, who's been a guest on this podcast and with whom Pete has had an interesting relationship. But despite them having some pretty decent arguments, Pete describes Tony as being the best coach he ever had and admits that he owes a lot of his career to Tony Smith. After 2 years on loan at York, Pete left Leeds and Tony for a year at Wakefield with John Keir, and then had 3 very successful years at Hull Kingston Rovers and 3 years back at Wakefield, which is where he's honest enough to say that he lost the fire in his belly that had fueled his journey up to that point. Pete also won 6 international caps, including playing and scoring in a Four Nations final against Australia. And if you've ever heard a sportsman talk with more passion and pride than Pete does when talking about that day, please let me know, because we need to get them on the podcast. So here is a passionate and funny storyteller dissecting a fascinating career. Pete, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for your time.
No problem.
And you grew up in York, I believe. In fact, you still live near there, don't you?
Yeah. I was born in York, and now I've moved closer to Hull, obviously from the Hull KR connections. I live about a mile away from Howden, a little village called Eashington. It's a little farming village. I can actually look out my window now and see fields and sheep, and it is in the middle of nowhere. We've got a pub though and hairdressers.
Oh, you've got everything you need.
Yeah, exactly. That's all we need.
But a lot of people listen to this podcast that might not be familiar with that part of the world or with rugby league. How big is rugby league where you grew up and where you live now?
Oh, it was huge. It started at York Acorn, my old amateur club, and it was actually my family who got me involved. My family is a huge rugby league family. My granddad played. I always get asked the question: is it Neil Fox? Am I related to Neil Fox, the famous Neil Fox? But I am. But my granddad did play. He did play for Hull. I don't think it was Hull FC at the time. It was the black and white. So he did have a game for them. And my dad played. My uncles played. They had a big involvement in the York Acorn amateur side, and that's what really got me into it, into playing rugby when I was 12 years old.
And I read somewhere, I think it might have been in the York newspaper when you retired, you said you had 2 goals. You wanted to play Super League and you wanted to play for England against Australia. And I'm interested, as someone that never got anywhere near succeeding in sport, when does it dawn on you in that journey from picking up a rugby ball that actually you might make it?
Well, when I first went, apparently I was a bit of a. When I was 12, I didn't really want to go. My dad, my mum and dad had split up, and I think for me, I probably got an emotional attachment with rugby. I think anything you have an emotional attachment with, it becomes more than just sport. It becomes your life. And it was my dad. My dad used to pick me up on a Wednesday because mum and dad split up. So the only time I could see my dad was when he took me to rugby, and he was famous in the Acorn, and he used to take me to the training. We did weights together, things like that, at the age of 12, and I just absolutely loved it. I think that was the main thing for me, spending that time with my dad at the beginning, and then it started to become more when I was sort of 15 and 16. That's when I realised, I'm actually quite good at this.
But was it a passion, and were you desperate to make it, or did you just suddenly realise, I'm quite handy at this, maybe I could make a career? Or when you started out and you're doing weights with your dad, was it always thinking, I could get there.
I always had a positive mindset, and you know, I love scoring tries. I love I love the thrill of scoring tries and having that buzz of winning. And I think I got that from my family. But it was for me. I was going through school, and I didn't really enjoy it that much. I was sort of an average student, sort of C's, B's. I mean, I could have really. I'm a sort of person, if I really try something, I'll succeed at it. No matter what. I have a no matter what attitude. And I don't think I fell in love with school really. And I think it was around the age of sort of 15 and 16. I made a decision. I actually said, I remember watching. I used to go to Wembley to watch the rugby. My dad took me to the Super League games. We always watched. He was massive into Australia NRL. We was watching that on a weekend, and I made a decision. I remember saying when I was 15, I says, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. I'm going to play it for the rest of my working life. I'm going to be a professional rugby player, and I actually said I'm going to play for England. And I remember saying that to my mum, and my mum laughed at me.
I'm surprised to hear that. I mean, they must have known you were pretty talented.
Yeah, she did, but I just think the thought was being a bit too optimistic, and she won't admit this, but she said, "Oh, I supported him," but she did, she did say at some point, you need to go and get a job, Pete. But I had the mindset of I'm making it no matter what, and I made that decision when I was just at the age of 15. And looking back at it, and if you think about it, it was a big decision.
Does it feel a bit irresponsible with hindsight?
Yeah, I suppose I suppose it is really. I just think. And I think I actually did get chucked out of my house as well. At mum's house, I lived with my mum, and I absolutely loved it. I loved it there. I was getting everything done for me, and didn't have to pay any board or anything. I think he was about 18, and my mum had a meeting with Gary Ebrington, chief executive of Leeds Rhinos. And I remember she rang him up. And she went, "Look, I can't keep him any longer. I think Leeds Rhinos were only paying me something like £8,000 a year full time."
You're training full time for £8,000 a year.
Yeah, it's crazy, and think how can you live on that? And obviously, I won't pay my mum board or anything, and I was still liked having a good time and being with my friends and things like that. And my mum just said, "Look, Pete, you're gonna have to either get another job, quit rugby, or." And I said, "No, I'm making it no matter what." And she rang Gary Evington up and said, "Look, you're gonna have to do something with Pete because I can't keep him any longer. I'm a single parent, can't afford it." And that's when Gary said, "Well, why don't you come and live in Leeds?" So they had a house in Leeds, shared accommodation. I think they still do that now, actually. And I went and moved in with the lads, and I did like part-time rugby. And I was still doing college at the time. I was trying my hand at college, but again, all I was bothered about was making it in rugby.
It's amazing when you think about it, isn't it? Like you hear about the Barcelona academy, and it's next to the Camp Nou, and the kids are schooled there, and they're groomed for the first team, basically. And in rugby league, you're getting £8,000 a year, living with your mum, and going into Leeds every day. Did a lot of the guys that didn't make it, could they just not hack it almost?
Yeah, it's. I was so I'm so stubborn. I get it from my dad. I was so stubborn. I was making it no matter what, and that's my attitude. I trained twice as hard as anyone else. I was always the best in the gym. I was always the fittest, the strongest, the fastest. That's what I prided myself on. I trained, I did extras all the time, and to be honest with you, I'm grateful to Leeds Rhinos for that. Leeds Rhinos are great at bringing you through and built a culture of winners, and they make you believe that all you want to do is play for Leeds Rhinos, and you're like, it's like the golden team. That's what they make you believe, and it breeds culture. And that's when I joined, Darryl Powell left, and it was Tony Smith who came in, and that's when my relationship with Tony Smith happened. But yeah, as a youngster, and it was a big commitment because when I had a choice. I could either play for Castleford or Leeds Rhinos, and I went for Leeds Rhinos because they gave us more training kit. Seriously, it was the same money, But you got more training kit with Leeds Rhinos, so that's why I decided to go with Leeds. And it was my nana and granddad. They used to drive me from York. I'm grateful to my family, my mum, my dad, my nana and granddad. It wouldn't have been possible without them being a part of it, because they was driving me to and from. They were helping me with my passion. And I think a lot of youngsters maybe didn't get that opportunity if they didn't have a family to support them. Because it was a big commitment for my dad to work all day, and he drives all around the country, being an engineer, then driving back to York, picking me up and then taking me over to Leeds, and not getting home till 10 o'clock at night, maybe 9 o'clock at night.
Did that make you feel under pressure? I know you put yourself under a lot of pressure, but did you start to feel the pressure from your dad and your grandparents when they're doing that for you? I wouldn't say given up on school, but you're concentrating on rugby league. Did it feel like there was a lot of pressure at the time, or are you maybe a bit young and naive and you don't really think about that?
I think I'm just lucky that I had a good family around me. I think no matter what I did, I think they supported me on what I wanted to do. They've never swayed me. My dad's been really good at that. He's never swayed me on any decisions. I've made every single decision myself. Every team I've rang him up for advice, but fundamentally I knew what I was doing anyway, to be honest with you.
And what was that culture like at Leeds when you got there? You mentioned Tony Smith, previous guest on this podcast. Hey, Tony. But that was a team of legends. What year was this? This was around 2004?
Might have been before that, actually. Yeah, around about. Yeah, it was.
But the Kevin Sinfield, Jamie Peacock, all that lot were there. What was that like to be in that culture? I mean, they're just legends of the game, and that Leeds team was successful for 15 years almost with that core of players. What was the culture at the club like then?
Oh yeah, it was amazing. And I remember once we went on an army camp with all the first team, and I was in a room and we had these small little beds. I don't know, they weren't the right size for us basically. And I remember there was me in a bunk bed with Kev Sinfield, who was at the top bunk. And we was all there. We all went to bed for about 9 o'clock. So we were knackered during the day because they got us doing all the army training, obstacle courses, running through mud and everything. We was all knackered. But I remember we were there in the room, and Kev kept prompting me, going, "Can we have some stories, Foxy?" And I was had to tell a few stories to all the lads. I think he was taking mick at me, to be honest with you. I think because I was a young lad, so I think he was, having a laugh on my behalf, if that makes sense. And it was like story time with Foxy on the night. I remember that.
But it must have been amazing. It was just a team of winners, wasn't it? The culture every day you go into to training. What was that like? I mean, are they pushing you? Is it spoken or is it just unspoken that you better give everything you've got here, or you're not going to last?
I just think it was bred by all the leaders, like you mentioned. Peacock, Sinfield, Keith Senior. It was such a good. I'll be honest with you, it was an amazing club to be at. I was gutted when I left, and I was gutted I didn't get a game. I really wanted to play for Leeds Rhinos. I'll be honest. I remember one day, I didn't get picked for one of the games, or something. I think it might have been I didn't get picked for one of the games or something. It might have been the first team or something like that. And I was on the train. I remember just crying. I burst out crying. I'll admit it now. That's how much it meant to me, and I was. That's how much they want you to, want to play for them.
But they could identify with that, I'd imagine. I bet no one was critical of your emotion. I mean, I get the impression from observing that team and those players from afar that was how they felt about it.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing was, this was just the start of my journey. This was the very start of it. And, I was there 5 years. Yeah, I was there 5 years, and obviously been with all the first team. And then obviously I got put on loan to York. And that was a big kick in the teeth for me, to be honest. So I'd gone from the sort of the academy setup, and I was, I played really well in that. played with like Nick Scruton. No, I played against people like Kev Brown.
Top players.
Yeah, so, yeah, really good players. Deacon, James Graham. I was at England camp with him. Sam Burgess. But all these players I was playing against at that time. And for me, I didn't get that run at Leeds that I wanted. I didn't get that shout. And I remember once I was downstairs and I remember sort of play that wears the heart on the sleeve. I just can't, honestly, I can't disguise emotion. That's one thing I maybe needed to work on when I was playing. But I didn't get picked. I remember it was Mark Calderwood was injured, and it was so I thought this is my chance. I'd just been at York for a season. I scored like 24 tries. My confidence was through the roof. I thought this is my time now. This is it. And I was still signed for Leeds. I was still full time at Leeds, but played for York Knights, which is a lower side than Leeds, for some experience. And I remember just being in the changing room when Kev Sinfield went, "Foxy, what's up with you?" And I says, "Oh, mate, I'm just really, really annoyed because I should have been playing." He said, "Well, why don't you say something then?" I says, No. Obviously, being a young lad, I was like, it's scary being in them situations. He says, "Why don't you say something to him? Go up there. Go up and speak to Tony, tell him." And I just thought he was winding me up again, like when we was in the sheds. And I remember I just thought, you know what, I've got nothing to lose. So I remember going upstairs, all the way upstairs, and honestly, my adrenaline, my heart was pumping. I thought, oh God, what am I doing here? What am I going to say to him? It was so scary. And then I remember walking in, knocking on the door, and I said, "Tony, can I have a word?" He went, "Yeah, come in, Foxy." And I remember saying it, I was just so scared. And he said, "Yeah, what can I do with you?" I says, "Why aren't I playing?" And then we got on like a bit of a standoff in his office.
Was he quite confrontational?
It got a bit like that, yeah, because I was like, "No, I should be playing." He's like, "No, you shouldn't. I want to play him." And it got a bit like that. But that was the first, and there was a few more occasions, which I'll go into in a minute, which happened with Tony, yeah, because the story unfolds. Obviously, I didn't play, and then so I'd done a successful year with York, and then he said, "Right, you've done really well. Why don't you stay in our squad, first team squad, and then see if you can break it for the next year?" So the year after, I was in the first team squad. I did 24 tries for York. Confidence was through the roof. I was just waiting for a player to get injured, and again, it happened again. And I think it was Danny Williams, a younger lad than me, got picked. I think Calderwood got injured again, or one of the wingers. And then the same thing happened again, where I should have been playing, and I thought I should have been playing. And that was it. Then he said, "Look, York's coming for you again. So do you want to go back to York?" And at that point, it was like most players had just quit and walked away and said, "Look, it's not gonna work. I'm not going to be a Super League player. I'm maybe a Championship player." And that's when, so I did go back to York. I went back to York, and then
Still signed for Leeds, so you're on loan.
yeah. So I was getting I was getting paid 12 grand because I managed to get a couple of grand more because I did well. So I got 12 grand full time at Leeds, and then I was getting match payments of York. So it made it a little bit more. I got a little bit more money, which was nice, but it wasn't obviously a massive amount. But I remember grafting there, and that was it. That would have been 19, 20 years old. So that's when I could have easily quit there or tried to find a job, and then I was trying to be an electrician then. I was doing the electrician course as well, because obviously I didn't know whether I was going to make it or not. So, I didn't know where I was going, but I always had an inner belief. I just knew. Yeah, you can't describe it. I just knew that I was going to play professional and get to the top and play for England. I always knew that.
But what happened after that season with York then? I mean, it's amazing. Your self-confidence seemed as bulletproof as ever, but you go back to Leeds. How does the conversation go?
So obviously I was still full time. So the good thing was I was getting full time training. I was we were with Leeds and getting the best, but then I was obviously playing part time. York was in the Championship, and I was actually the coach was Mick Cook, and he was the coach at Leeds in the academy for me, and he really believed in me, and I think that really made a difference. And he was in he went above and beyond as a coach. Give you videos. It wasn't actually videos then; it was tapes.
VHS tapes.
Honestly, we used to get tapes. When I first started, we got tapes, then it went into CDs. And then obviously now it's like all online streaming, isn't it? But that's what we used to get our pre-games. But yeah, so he believed in me, and then from there, that's when my relationship ended with Leeds, and that's when Wakefield came in.
Did you push for the move, or was it just a mutual thing?
No, they wanted to keep me, but it was just the same money, or you can't live on 12 grand a year at 20 years old. It's just not enough money.
No.
So don't matter how dedicated you are, you've got to admit. So it was, luckily Wakefield came in for me. It was John Keir. That's when John Keir came in for me.
But I'm interested, before we started, just to rewind, but before we started recording, and I said, oh, we've talked to Tony Smith, and you said, oh, he's a great coach. Tell me a little bit, I'm sorry to digress, but tell me a little bit about Tony, because your comment, he's a great coach, doesn't really tally with you and him having a couple of ding-dongs.
But this is a part of the whole story. I've not got to the end yet.
Sorry, go ahead.
But, yeah, Tony, amazing coach, absolutely amazing. But we didn't see eye to eye a lot of times, but he's a great coach. He's everything he does, everything he teaches. The confidence he got from me was unbelievable. But it wasn't when I was at Leeds in the academy when I was younger. It was later on. It was obviously I had a year with Wakefield, and an amazing year with John Keir, and then the next year it was my big deal at Hull KR, and then that was when Justin Morgan came in and really believed in me, and my confidence levels were, because I had 1 year at Super League. That's why I broke into the Super League, because Wayne Price was injured. So I went from York Knights and then Wakefield, and then I got that chance. Wayne Price broke his leg, and I played against Rovers. My first ever Super League game was at Rovers against Hull KR, where Ben Cockayne scored the winning try in the last minute.
Yeah, because
when Hull KR got promoted.
People that aren't aware of it might not know there's two rugby league teams in Hull.
Yeah.
And the rivalry is, well, I'll let you describe the rivalry.
Yeah, so in Hull, there's two Super League teams, there's Hull KR and Hull FC, and it's just, the rivalry is just unbelievable. Like you might have a household, right, where the mum supports Hull FC, right, and the dad supports Hull KR. The family split, but they go to the games together with different shirts on, and the banter and everything. That's the one true derby. It was amazing.
And that was your Super League debut.
But that was my So Hull KR, people who don't know on this call, that was my main team that I played for over 100 games for. So that was where I made it. So yeah, so I played for Wakefield for that year, which I'm grateful for, because that gave me my 1 year experience in Super League. And then obviously I went to Rovers, but to go back to the Tony Smith thing, it was 2 years at Rovers, where I was under Justin Morgan, and it was one day. I remember this day like it was yesterday. So I had a year at Wakefield, and then 2 years at Hull KR. My confidence was through the roof. We brought in all these stars from Australia. They spent a lot of money for this team to be good, and it was then I saw on the news head coach for England, Tony Smith. It was announced, and I just and at that time I was like, my dream was obviously to play for England. That's what I decided when I was 15, and when he got picked, I thought, well, that's it then. That'll never happen. I just thought he'll never pick me, because he never picked me for the first team at Leeds. Didn't even like me. I ain't got a chance. I thought, oh well. But I was grateful I was playing for Rovers and was doing really well. Anyway, cut long story short, it was halfway through the year, and I think I'd finished playing on the Sunday, and then normally I managed to get home for a Sunday dinner quick. I managed to get home and finish about 4:30. I managed to get a late Sunday dinner for about 5 o'clock on a Sunday, and I had that, and then I just collapsed on I had a couple of pints after the game, as you do as a rugby player. Take that edge off all the hits you do, and I just collapsed on the couch, fell asleep. Put my phone on silent so no one bothered me, and I woke up and I saw like 4 missed calls of a number I didn't recognise on my phone. And I was like, "Oh, who was that?" And then it rang again. I thought, "Bloody hell, who's this? They must be keen." Anyway, I answered it. I can't do an impression because I can't do Australian accents, but he went, "All right, Foxy, good day. It's Tony Smith here." And straight away I thought it was a wind-up. Because previously in my career, when I was at Leeds, one of the lads actually pretended to be Scottish, right? And pretended to be a sponsorship, got me to turn up in yellow kit at Leeds Rhinos training ground outside the car park while all the lads were at the top watching. They convinced me that I was a sponsor. I didn't actually wear the yellow kit, but he tells you I did. But so I thought this was a wind up from one of the lads. So anyway, I actually said, "Is this a wind up?" I said, "Is this definitely Tony?" He says, "Yeah, this is Tony Smith." He says, "I've got some good news for you, mate. Gaz Rayner, which was the England winger at the time, he says he's injured. He said, I've got some good news. You're going to be playing against France this Friday."
And you're asleep with a couple of pints, aren't you?
Yeah, sleep with a couple of pints. And I was like, "You are joking." And I just like, that was the best day of my life, because obviously he'd said I wasn't good enough, or I thought he said I wasn't good enough previously. You can't describe it. I was nearly crying, and the emotion and everything I'd ever worked for, everything boils up to that point. It's so hard to describe.
But what's that week like? So you get the call from Tony Smith, you're going to play for England. What's it like? Are you trying to hold it all together mentally, or were you just like a dog on the lead, just ready to be let off?
Right, best way. Have you got kids or anything like that? Or
yeah, I've got a daughter.
So what? You probably spend a really nice day with your daughter. I would imagine this is how I would feel. Imagine a really nice sunny day, and you're having a really nice day with your daughter, and all you're thinking about is your daughter. You're just so happy. You've got that. They're happy. You're happy. And you're just really content because it's such a nice, amazing day. Have you had them days before?
I've had one today.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that feeling, probably like that, like continuously, like all the time. I was smiling. Literally, I just had a smile on my face all week.
No nerves?
No nerves, nothing, just like euphoria. The best feeling in the world. I've not had feelings like that ever since or before.
And can you enjoy the day at the time? When you walk in the change room, are you actually thinking, "I'm about to play for England"? I can't. When you see your shirt hanging up.
When I was on that coach, right, to the game against France for my debut, I was sat there and I had to turn away, look out the window of the coach, because I was crying with happiness, just complete and utter happiness. You can't describe it. It was just amazing. Best feeling in the world, because you've gone through all them ups and downs. Your family took you. You've had people saying you're not good enough. You've had injuries. You've had this. You've had that, and then it's all for that one moment.
And was it all you hoped for when you got on the pitch?
Yeah, and more. I scored 2 tries.
And you ended up getting, was it 6 caps?
6 caps, yeah.
All equally special?
Yeah, all of them. But obviously the main one was, the year after, it was I had some more disappointment, because the year after I didn't get picked to go to the World Cup. I was actually in the squad, in the training team. I played really well. Tony Smith was coach again, and honestly, it's an up and down roller coaster with Tony. But I still think he's the best coach I've ever had. Still, even though he didn't pick me on them occasions, he still brought the best out of me. And it was Mark Calderwood came back from injury, played an amazing game in the playoffs, and then he said because he's obviously had a really good experience with Mark Calderwood. So Mark Calderwood was a player who who he had worked with at Leeds, had won championships with. So he picked Mark, and he went to the World Cup and I didn't. But that just did not stop me. I still, put my sleeves up and worked even harder. And that's when the next year was when all the magic happened. 2009, yeah, it was. I was in the squad, the England squad, and it was in the Four Nations. And at the start, I didn't get picked at the start. He picked Tom Briscoe. So Tom Briscoe, he was the winger from the other Hull side. So I was a Hull KR winger, and he was the Hull FC winger in our city. So he picked Briscoe, and I was just devastated because all I wanted to do. Well, I said, didn't I? When I was 15, I said I'm going to play for England and play against Australia. So all the work that I'd done, I thought, this is my time, this is my moment. I missed out on the World Cup, but this, I'm going to play in this. And but I didn't start. Briscoe played. I don't think he had a really good game. And then it was the week after. It was the 5th of November, 2009, and that's my birthday. And he said, Foxy, I need a word. So I went to have a word with him, and he said, first of all, happy birthday. I went, oh, thanks, Tony. Thanks for that, mate. But I was down in the dumps bit because I wasn't playing. I went, oh, cheers for that.
There's only one present you want, isn't there?
And then second, mate, I've got a present for you. I said, what's the present? Playing against New Zealand tomorrow. I was like, wow, that's amazing. So obviously I played against France and I think I played against Wales, but this one was the, you as a rugby player, you want to play in the best and play against the best. So New Zealand and Australia are the best in the world. You cannot get any higher. That's where you want to be. So yeah, I got the nod, and that was it. Managed to get 2 tries, which was amazing, which won the game. It was just like, it was like fate. It was like meant to be. And it got to the final. We had to win that game to get to the final. It was a semi-final. That's what I played in. I didn't play in any of the other games. It was just that one. He just put me straight in, bang. It was amazing.
You've mentioned a few times, I always believed I got this setback and I still thought I could do it. What's the average rugby player like mental? I suppose you can't make a generalisation, but what were you like compared to the other players as a guy to get on with in terms of your mental approach? Were you quite unusual? Or if I called up anyone from professional rugby league, do you think they'd echo what you're saying?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say I would be a player that got on with everybody. I wasn't a cliquey person in regards of I didn't have like 3 or 4 mates. I was mates with everyone. I was in euphoria. When I went into training, I loved you. Even I might not have seen eye to eye, I might have had a bit of an argument with someone, but I'd still love them, if that makes sense. I just loved, because that's all I ever wanted to do. Everything was amazing. Everything was just amazing. Training, getting up in the morning, going there, my nutrition. I wanted to be, just everything I wanted to do was play rugby and win. So that's, but my mentality was, I'm going to get to the top. I wanted to be the best. I wanted to be the best. That's all I was focused on, is being the best.
And now you're slightly detached from it. You've been retired, coming up for a year?
Yeah.
What was the happiest time of your career? Because, I mean, if someone Googles you and they find you on Wikipedia, they can see how many tries you scored and how many games you played, and you've already mentioned some ups and downs. What period of your career do you look back on and think, oh, if I could have one week back in that environment, what do you think it'd be?
I'll tell you the moment now, and there's a picture. You can find it on Wikipedia, like you said. And it was after that New Zealand game. I'd scored 2 tries, absolutely amazing, buzzing. My family, my mum was just, also all my family had been through this journey with me, so they was feeling what I was feeling as well. So they, it must have been amazing for my dad. Imagine how proud my dad would be sat in the crowd. My mum, my sister, my girlfriend, everyone were there. So it wasn't then. It was the final. So we beat New Zealand to play Australia in the final, and that was just Oh, that changing rooms. I could. It's so weird. You're not nervous. I was just like, it's meant to be. It was meant to be. It was like in a dream. It was like being in a dream. It really was. And the moment was when we started off like a house on fire. We was all over Australia, absolutely. And Sam Burgess scored the best try I've ever seen a forward score in my life. He bust the line, sidestepped the fullback and went under the sticks. And was like, wow, we're going to win this. You know, we're going to do this. Because for people who don't know on the podcast, you know, we haven't won since, I don't know the exact date, you'll have to find out. I think it's like 1980 something. It's been like 30 or 40 years, 30 to 40 years, we've not beat Australia in a final. We've not beat them in a competition.
They've been the dominant force of World Rugby League.
We haven't beat them in a final, you know, in a final since for years and years. So this was a massive occasion, and we just believed that we was going to do it. So what happened was, so he scored. We just had so much confidence. And it was at Ellen Road, this was, in front of 30,000 people.
This is in Leeds.
And, yeah, it was in Leeds, yeah. So it was, who was it who kicked across? Richie Marler. I think it was Richie Marler. Yeah, he put a crossfield kick in for me, so it was right on their try line. And he put a crossfield kick in, right in the corner, right? And then at the time, it was Jared Hayne. So Jared Hayne at that time got the world's best player.
And he was marking you.
And he was on the wing. They played him on the wing, so he's normally a fullback. And he was marking me, and he was on the wing. And I remember just running, and just in slow motion, the ball would just, it was almost like it in slow motion, going end over end. And I just leapt up like a salmon, caught the ball, right? He didn't even, I think he jumped a little bit. I landed on him, right? I grabbed, managed to secure the ball, catch the ball in midair, and then I just dived and scored in the corner. And he was like, yes. And I remember just throwing the ball in the air, going, come on. And I actually shouted at Jared Hayne, going, come on, like that, just to provoke him. You know, just to get in the reds, because Australia are really good in the mind. I really want to rattle him, and rattle the Australian team, thinking, you know, we're going to get beat here. So I scored and turned around to all the lads, and everyone just jumped on me. Sam Burgess and Sam Tompkins and everyone just was jumping, and we thought we're going to do this. But unfortunately, the story didn't. That was my best moment. It would have been amazing if, unfortunately, we didn't go on to win the game. It's a bit of a catch-22. But
I mean, when I asked for a highlight, I think living your dream, playing for England and scoring a try by smashing the world's best player it's a pretty good sporting memory. I don't think many people will trump that.
No, and that was it, yeah. But then the game unravelled. I got injured, and I actually played on injured because I shouldn't have really maybe done that. But we didn't have any other subs. I did my medial. I just taped it up and played on. Unfortunately, the Australian were too class for us. But for my own journey, that moment there was the most magic. You know, you couldn't beat it. I could have retired there and then, to be honest.
Well, what's retiring like? I get the impression you would have played on if your body had carried on.
I would have, but I'd be completely honest with you. After that, after I'd had my 6 caps, I then moved on to Wakefield. And I did 3 years there. And Wakefield, you know, they don't spend the salary cap. You know, they're not a team like Hull FC and Hull KR at the time when, you know, that spent quite a lot of money. It's not like your Warringtons, your Leeds and your Wigans. So it's always a grind, you know, a team that grinds. It'll get up to about, you know, the top 8. You know, obviously it's doing well now. And I just think I had a couple of, you know, really good years with Wakefield, but it changed when I left England. And I sort of, what's the word really? It became more of a job, really. Whereas before I was striving to play for my country and to win something. And being on the wing, it's frustrating if you're a centre. So for people who don't know on the podcast, you're right on the edge. You're the fast one on the edge. But if you don't get any ball from your centre or your halfbacks or your prop forwards don't go forward and make yards, and you don't get any balls, it's hard to sort of stand out. If that makes sense, you've got to rely on the inside. You have to rely on the inside, your inside men, and I always, I was good with my performances and things like that. But it's tough. It's tough as a winger when in the sort of lower teams.
And had the fire gone out a bit?
In the fight, yeah, and the fire went out for me at the back end of my career, and I'm not the sort of person who I had set a goal and I achieved it. And if I would have, had a chance to go to St Helens or I'd have stayed at Rovers, I think if I would have been around them sort of players and I'd have got that opportunity, I think I might have even been playing now, to be honest. Maybe, possibly.
Is it hard because rugby's such a physical game? Your heart's got to be in it, hasn't it?
Yeah, and I still love rugby and everything like that, but because it was like, right, all we're doing was planning on staying in Super League. That's our goal. I wanted to. All I wanted to do was win a trophy. Win a competition, and it got more like a job, if I'm honest, towards the back end of my career. And I thought, I need to let other young lads come through. And I left at the right time. It's perfect. I couldn't, I did what I had to do in the game, and then I've come back. I've come on to other things now.
Is it hard being retired, or did it come as almost a relief?
No, it's amazing, if I'm honest. It was easy, honestly.
But
I thought the only thing I miss is the competitive, the competitive nature of it, and the gym sessions and like I said, that moment there, you cannot. The moment when I played against France and Australia and New Zealand, you can't emulate that at all.
Well, I wanted to ask about that because when you're talking with such passion about when you scored that try and what an amazing moment it is, and your heart's bursting out of your chest with pride. I've always thought it must be hard for sports people to know that the thing they'll be defined by and maybe the most exciting experience they'll ever have is almost certainly behind them. I guess to the normal guy in the street, something might happen that's more exciting than what happened in your 20s. Is it hard to think, well, no matter what I do, where I go, I'm never going to have that experience again?
I think no, I don't actually think like that. I mean, I don't think I'll get that feeling. I think you're right in that respect. I don't think I'll get the same feeling as I did, when I got picked after all that. But now I'm looking forward into my future. I think a lot of players get stuck on that. That's why I wanted to come out of rugby. That is why I didn't want to be, because rugby defines you. I didn't want rugby to define me for the rest of my life. I want to go into new things and new challenges, and have a new ambition. I could have easily gone into maybe coaching or, give back into the game, which, I might do in the future. Possibly, I'd like to give back to the kids and things like that. But for me personally, I'm really glad I cut and pasted it when I did. I didn't want to move on and be a has-been still playing, because that nearly did happen when I played for Newcastle and one of the young lads tackled me and said, "Hey up, Grandad." He said, "Here, get down, Grandad." And I was like, "Why am I getting called Grandad? I'm only, And I think that's what it was for me. And now I can literally, I've accomplished everything. I can walk away from rugby saying, I've had an amazing career. I'm very grateful. Thank you to everyone who's helped me along the way. I've learned some incredible lessons, some life lessons, which I'm passionate about teaching people. About not giving up and believing in yourself, having a vision. All them things that I stood by, and I could have quit, I could have walked away, but I never did. I was so stubborn. I can then teach that or implement that into things that I'm going to do in the future. So now I'm actually now even more excited about my future.
What are you up to now? I mean, I've had a look at your website and everything, but a lot of people listening to this won't. What's the 9 months or so since retirement been like, and what's the next chapter?
So when I'll be honest, I struggled a bit through my nutrition, and I went on the wind turbines when I finished playing offshore wind turbines, and I was struggling with my diet and exercise. Really, I was eating sandwiches, crisps, chocolate at lunchtime, and got that way of working. And because I wasn't paid to go training every single day, I was obviously working a normal job. It was a big shock, and I ended up putting some weight on. I was in a bit of a bad place, to be honest with you, and I was always craving for that feeling that I'd get from England and New Zealand, but you're not going to get that in a wind turbine.
What were you doing on the wind turbines?
I just do the certification, so I make sure things are safe on it. And anyway, that's when I found Herbalife, the nutrition company. It found me with my friend Ben Cockayne, one of my old work colleagues, and he said, "Look, Foxy, you'd be really good at this." And I took a look at it, took the products, and then, from there I've just been blown away by the company, absolutely blown away by it. And now I help people with the new health and nutrition and building a life for themselves as well. It's when I meet people, it's networking. So I meet people, and then I help them. And what the difference is with this, and the reason why I'm so excited about it, and it might sound a little bit cheesy, but it's actually, you actually work a lot on yourself and how you are. Whereas before, I was so concentrated on playing rugby and getting to England and things like that. I never really sort of took notice on how I was as a person. And since joining Herbalife, I've actually become a better person because I was focused on myself before. Whereas this, you've got to help people. So I now help people. I help people with health results, help people even become a part of a business partner and have a better life for themselves. And I've got to be a better person for that. So I've got to improve on my listening skills. I've got to, really work with people on their dreams and ambitions. No, it's not only my own. I've got to help other people. And that is so rewarding. And that's why I'm excited, because I've only just started now. I mean, I'm even public speaking. Speaking is not you can ask anyone, speaking's not my forte. I'm not a really good speaker. I never have been in the changing rooms and things like that. But since joining Herbalife, I remember they got me speaking in front of 2,000 people in Wembley, and that was amazing. So it's a new challenge I've got now. It's a new challenge. It's all up there in your mind, and mind and body.
When we were talking earlier, and you were talking about how much you loved your career, I mean, I don't think I've ever heard anyone speak like that about the experience of being a professional athlete. I was nervous that when the topic of retirement came up, you'd say it's hard, and it's amazing to hear how the journey's changed, and you're even more excited about the future.
Yeah, massively. It's my own personal journey, and I think everything's a challenge. I wasn't always the most gifted rugby player at all, but I just worked and worked and worked. And if you read I'm big into personal development, a bit like yourself. Looking at other people and watching what they do and reading books and developing myself. And a common thing that always comes up is they made a decision, right? They made a decision who was going to make it. They had a dream. They believed that there was, they had this vision, and then they never ever gave up, no matter what. They had a no matter what attitude. And I think looking back, that's what separates the winners and the champions from people who don't make it. That's the only difference. Yeah, you can have all the skill in the world. Of course you can. And some people do have that. But the majority of the best winners, the champions that make it, are the ones that have that stubbornness, the amazing attitude. They'll go and do the extras. They'll go and do everything they have to do. And they have the attitude of they'll always make it, no matter what. And, I think that's what, that'll never go out with me. it's like an addiction, to be honest with you. So once after my rugby career, after it's finished, it's like, what's the new thing? And the new thing for me, that's what's exciting.
To be honest, I feel like that shouldn't just be the conclusion of this episode of the podcast. It should probably just be the conclusion of the podcast. That is the winning mentality summarized eloquently in about 90 seconds. That was perfect. And thank you so much for your time. It's just been a pleasure. And if people want to find you, where can they do that?
So I'm on Instagram. It's under Tidy Bodies. So I'm not under my name. Tidy Bodies it is. And Facebook, Peter Fox, you can find me on there. Or Twitter is again Tidy Bodies, but mainly Instagram. Find me on that.
All right, Peter, thank you very much for your time. Been an absolute pleasure.
No problem. Thank you very much.
As Pete mentioned, you can find him on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, so make sure you look him up and tap into the motivation and inspiration that you've just heard from him. That's all from us this week. I promise we'll be on time with next week's show on Sunday, so do join us then, and thank you for listening.